So our speaker today has had some practice lately of letting go. And she,
And the river and the mountain. Wow.
so we
perfect.
always enjoy hearing about that. And it's Reverend Joyce Zorger. So
Thank you.
Reverend
Yes,
Joyce,
thank
come
you.
on.
Wow, oh my gosh, and Marcel, what you read and the inspiration was just so perfect. And the songs that Jan and Nina sang with the mountain and the river and all of that, just it comes together so perfectly for my life since January 9th, and continues on, and which I'll share a little bit more of some my dogs. I've always shared my dogs, Toby and Lucy, and their adventure, their latest adventure. But first of all, I'd like to share a letter it's a card that I received from a very dear friend, and she has a dear friend, and they live together. Barbara, I've known her since the 60s, and Barbara and Carolyn have been such a supportive presence in my life ever since all of this started with the flooding out of my property and my home, and my dogs running off, and all of this. It just all perfectly how they support me, and they would send me some little it's like a little gift every week. I'd find something in my mailbox, a little gift, maybe from Amazon, might be from some chocolates or some pistachios. They know I love pistachios, but it just went on for weeks and weeks. And this letter came in the mail, and I thought, it's not a letter, it's a card, but it says, no matter what life throws at you, at least you don't have ugly children. And it's true. And what I love about Barbara is that she has this great sense of humor. And that's true. I have 3 daughters, and they're all gorgeous. But as she writes inside, she says, Joyce, this is absolutely a card made for you. With all you have accomplished, shoveling buckets of mud, mucking buckets of poop, you deserve the Pulitzer Prize for sustainability. Now, sanity is still up for grabs. That's true. And she says, I am so happy the Feather Ranch is on its way to A-OK, love Barb. And her girlfriend Carolyn wrote, here's to looking up. We're so happy for you and yours. The universe has protected you in so many ways, and that's so true, as well as your 2 errant canines. We look forward to hearing the next chapter of your exciting life. And it's signed Carolyn. So yes, and but no matter what life throws at you, at least you don't have ugly children. So I had to post this somewhere in my house. Wow, it's I am grateful that I have made it through this experience, this going from the trapeze bar and to the void and to the next bar and to just moving on. And just recently I had my flooring replaced. I'm so grateful for that, because the whole 3 to 4 inches of muddy water just flooded out my whole bottom floor. And that's now beautiful. It's called luxury vinyl, which is waterproof, which is a good thing. And that's why I chose it. And it's a lifetime guarantee. So what more could I ask for? But anyway, this talk today, and I love the attitude is a state of mind, and the gratitude is a state of appreciation, and fortitude a state of strength and patience and courage. And then I added intention, because our theme for this month of June is intention. And intention is that a state of a conscious alignment with the divine presence or universal intelligence. To me, that's that power that we connect with when we go into the silence and into the prayer that we see for ourselves or for whomever we're praying for. I'll share with you a little bit about what happened a few weeks ago. This was my latest challenge. It had to do with Toby and Lucy, of course, because they've been my biggest challenge since they're 5.5 years old now, believe it or not. And I've shared my experience with them. So they were just 2 months old when I got them, and they were free. So I said, I'll take 2, which was insane of me, but I did. And they keep each other company. But they are just an amazing dogs that they look after each other. And when they were gone on a hunt, they're hunting dogs, they're sporting dogs, blue chick hound, German short hair pointer. And it was just a few weeks ago, and we were coming back from the barn, and I had one on a leash because I can't leave them out together, and the other one was digging for a gopher. And Toby wanted to help Lucy dig for this gopher, and I had some watering to do, so I unhooked. That was a big mistake. I unhooked the leash of Toby, and he ran over to help Lucy. And they're digging, and then all of a sudden they look up and they take off. And I didn't have my device, to click them or to say, come back. And I'm running around finding out, found it on the table, and they were not that far from me. And I zapped them with that e-collar that they have. And they didn't care. They were so full of adrenaline that they would run through a barbed wire fence. They were off. And usually they're back within a few hours. The longest time they've been gone was 5 hours. This time it was 48 hours, and I was just beside myself. Talk about stress. I know you said if Pierre was gone that long, how you would feel. And I had a friend, a neighbor, she came over soon after they were gone, like within 10 or 50, well, actually very soon after they were gone. And she drives up their driveway and she said, I saw your dogs down by Sausalito Canyon. They ran that far in just a little while. And anybody that's been out to my property, that's a couple of miles away, that they just ran. They were running after, who knows what they were running after or what was running after them. But they were gone, like I said, and I had them I had prayer out there for their return. And that was something that his prayer, I know, is so powerful, and it has been for me in all my life. But it was a morning. I think it was 6:30 in the morning. I get a phone call, and they were gone from Monday, and this was Wednesday morning. And I get this phone call, and I had this knowing that it was about one of the dogs, and it was this angel named Tanner. And she said, I have Toby in the back of my car, and if he's your Toby, I'll bring him to you. And she brought Toby home. He had crossed the road. He was up by Upper Lake Lopez, which is 4 or 5 miles from my property. And he was lying. She said she was driving, and he crossed in front of her and then collapsed in the bush right on the side of the road. He could barely walk. And she said, I didn't see Lucy. And he didn't have the chartreuse vest on that I keep on my dogs whenever I take them out so they could be seen if one of them goes into the road. So she brought Toby home, and I was just tears and gratitude, and hugged her. And she actually her name Tanner was the name of one of my horses. I told her that. I don't know if she did, but anyway, she was a darling girl, and she worked as a vet, and she knew how to lift Toby. He weighs about 80 pounds. She lifted him out of her car and put him down, and he barely walked into the garage. I had the garage door open, and he walked into the garage and managed to get into the backyard. And but we didn't know where Lucy was, and they were always together. And then she left, and I got an email from her, and she said her boyfriend thinks he saw Lucy in the same area where Toby was, and she had on this chartreuse vest. And that little, yeah, I'm going to start to cry, because they're so devoted to each other, and she would not leave him until he was cared for. And then when the strangest thing, right after she left, after the young woman left, I go out to the garage, and there's Lucy. And she came home by herself. She ran all the way back, that 4 or 5 miles back. And her little feet, her pads were bloodied. But she made it back because she knew that her brother was safe. And that, to me, that our animals, they have such a high level of intelligence that we need to give them more credit for what they are able to know, even though they may not know our words, but they actually do know many words. But they are, when we treat them with loving kindness, they come back, and they have always come back. But Toby just couldn't make it back on his own. But Lucy, being the alpha that she is, half his size, she is totally the boss of Toby. And she made it back on her own once she knew that her brother was safe. And so, to me, it was an answer to prayer, and it was for me to know that God takes care of our furry family too. All of them. And so, anyway, that's my story about my dogs. But I want to. I wanted to share a little bit about my mom because she is, she has had that ageless attitude. And I think about my mother. I think I shared one time that she learned to bowl when she was 85 years old, and she was winning trophies, and she's an amazing woman. She did tell things the way it was. I mean, I had to be strong because of some of her comments to me, because when I was just, I think 11 or 12, I was taking piano lessons, and I thought I could play The Wedding of the Painted Doll really well. And they were having a talent show at my local civic center. And I said, Mom, I think I'm going to sign up for the talent show and play that song. She says, don't do that. You'll make a fool of yourself. So I had to be strong. My mother helped make me strong and deal with any kind of uh, anything that would undermine my confidence. I had to go get myself beyond that. And I've always had a very strong faith. I remember saying my prayers, and she would want me to say my prayers and she'd listen to my prayers. And then it was a prayer that said, I can't remember the prayer now, but I got sideways. But I remember it saying, and if I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. And I got to a place where I just didn't like that sound. I didn't want to die before I woke up. I had more to do. I had so much to do, you know, and I didn't want to have that happen. So I said to my mom, I said, I don't need to have you listen to my prayers anymore, Mom. I can do my own prayer. And from the time I was a little girl, and I went to a church that was just a couple blocks away by myself. My parents they went to church on Easter Sunday and on Christmas. And every Sunday I went to church, this little church, Church on the Dale in Lawndale. I would think about that song, you know. And so I was fortunate to always have that knowing that God is there for me. And I turn to God. I turn to that power that's within me that helps me move on through all the things that happen and all this challenge that I dealt with this past year. But the good thing is I got my flooring replaced, and as I mentioned, but I missed some very important things that I want to attend at the church because they were the noise, the dust and dirt, and I'm still cleaning up dust and dirt in my home. Everything is covered with it. They had to sand the floors, the cement floors, and cut the wood, all of it. It was, or the tile. But anyway, I started to tell you about my mom. And her age, she would never tell anyone how old she was. And for me, I'm proud to say I'm 85 and still alive, and I'm 85 and still willing to thrive. And so the aging with attitude, I think that's part of the attitude that we need to adopt for ourselves. This aging process is something that I'm grateful that I've made it this far. I have a little brother. My older brother was killed by a car when he was 7 years old. I wasn't born yet. I didn't know him, but I knew that he was there protecting me from my other brother who was always teasing me. And so I know that, God watches over me all the time and in many ways. So my mom was in a car accident in 94. And she needed 24/7 care. She couldn't walk any longer, and she loved to dance. And this was quite a thing for her to move through. And I think of those years, and I think of the lessons that I learned. And what she did was she loved to sing, and she had this beautiful soprano voice like you do. And she would sing in her wheelchair. She'd push herself around the nursing home, and she'd be singing Silent Night all the time. You know, it didn't matter what year, when it was, but I'd walk into the facility and I would hear her voice, her beautiful soprano voice, singing Silent Night, and we could find her. And so, but she had a conversation with my husband one time, a few years into her confinement, and she said to John, she said, "Why is life so short when life is so precious?" And I thought, wow, here she is. She's in a wheelchair now, and life is still precious to her. And this, to me, is a sign of a soul that knows and is moving through this life and knows there's more. There's always more. And she wasn't limited by her thinking in that respect. And She refused to be limited by her thinking. I remember Viktor Frankl, and I always loved reading that book, In Search of Meaning. If you haven't read that, it's such a good book. And he talks about when all other freedoms have been taken from us, when all other freedoms have been taken from us, we still have one freedom left, and the freedom to choose our attitude about whatever it is that we are experiencing. So choosing our attitude, that's why I like my name, Joyce, Joyce with a choice. I'm always at choice. I choose my attitude, and it helps me to get through the days. I like to collect role models, and one time I was in the Silmar, and they had, I was asked to be a part of a people that, it was a, what do I say that? They were people that were I took part in a prayer vigil, and I was praying with other practitioners for 24 people as they completed their oral panels to become new ministers. And I love this story because this is a woman, one team of ministers and practitioners interviewed. It was an 84-year-old panelist. They were interviewing this 84-year-old panelist who wanted to become a minister. And they said, "Why do you want to become a minister at this age?" And her response was, "Well, I can't do it any younger, can I?" Perfect. I can't do it any younger. And she became a minister, and she didn't allow her age to diminish her. We don't. We have all these years that we've gathered, and we've lived here on this planet called Earth, and we've learned things, and we can appreciate ourselves and appreciate yourself every day. We wake up. Thank you, God, for this day, and I do that. I'll say, may this day just may I move through this day with grace and ease and love, and know that I can overcome any challenge that's put before me. There was a book that I read. This is something I wanted to share with you. It was about years ago. A minister friend of mine wrote a newsletter. It was entitled "Aging with Attitude, with a New Attitude." Aging with a New Attitude. And in 1997, I wrote to her about our pending move to Feather Ranch. That's when we moved there. And with permission, she printed my letter in her newsletter. And here's what I wrote. "All my life, I've dreamed of owning a horse ranch. Both my husband and I own horses. My husband has retired, and I will soon follow. We found a beautiful ranch property in Arroyo Grande. It is everything we had dreamed of, and we bought it. Suddenly, I feel as if I'm on a roller coaster ride." Another trapeze. Thank you. Too many words. "The questions are immense. Will we be able to do this? Are we too old to do this?" I was 59 and John was 62, I think, at the time. Most people are thinking of retiring and getting into a smaller downsizing, but no, we got a bigger house and then we filled that up, and now I'm trying to get rid of stuff. So my friend's response was this: "These are questions any one of us might ask as we explore this new idea of aging. Enormous possibilities exist when we don't buy into beliefs of limitation." Don't buy into beliefs of limitation. And yes, any life-changing choice we make will put us on a roller coaster. Our job is just to remember that we bought the ticket. And then she goes on to say, she went on to share an amusing quote from Jerry Seinfeld, who I really enjoy his humor. "Life is truly a ride. We're all strapped in and no one can stop it. As we make each passage from youth to adulthood to maturity, sometimes we put our hands up and scream, and sometimes we just hang on to that bar in front of us. I think the most we can hope for is that our hair's messed up, we're out of breath, and we didn't throw up." So I read Fruitful Aging, Finding the Gold in the Golden Years by Dr. Tom Pinkson. Has anybody read that? I think I have the book somewhere in my house. It's just finding it. There's just so many books. But Dr. Pinkson is involved in a program called Recognition Rights for a New Vision of Aging. I'll have to read that again. And honoring elders. The intent of this program is to shift attitudes about aging and older people to a position of respect and reverence that mature cultures demonstrate. a core theme of this program is called Gero Transcendence. And someone you mentioned about transcendence, I love that word. Growing into old age with a fortified spirituality and cognition that evolves around that evolves from shifting definition of a separate self based on ego to an understanding of a larger self with a capital S that is one with the creative power, the spirit of the cosmos, universal spirit. And that is something to remember. The real gold in the golden years is to know that we are always evolving, transcending, if you will, into greater possibilities. And I love this. I think about this. We transform the word impossible to I'm possible. You just change it just a little, put in an apostrophe there, with a simple letter adjustment to help with an attitude adjustment. Not impossible, I'm possible. So I remember one lady when my mom was in the nursing home. She said to me, "If your mother's still here, she either has more to teach or more to learn." And I think that we are all doing this as we're moving through life. We're teachers and students, and then we get to adjust that each time. You know, we know that. By being that place of love that God is, because I believe that that's what God is. God is love with a capital L, and life is God with a capital L. And I am so grateful that I'm still here, and I have my friends that remind me how lucky I am. You know, don't, I go to town, and I think I go to town just to connect with people, because there are no strangers to me when I go to town. I meet the neatest people, and I sometimes take their name and their phone number, and they want to be friends. But I have to be careful because I have a lot to take care of. And I have some wonderful friends, and I don't want to neglect them. And I need to remember to connect with them, to call them. And it's so important to connect with our friends over the years. I'm almost done talking here. Let's see, I wanted to say, I I guess in closing, I guess, you know, I talked about Barbara, and she sent me this card. And Barbara and I were campfire leaders together. She helped me. I had 16 campfire little girl bluebirds, and then they went out, and I took them camping in the desert. It was such a wonderful experience. And I would love to be more involved with service work, but I'm finding that the trip from my place to town is getting longer and longer. And, you know, and the gas prices are getting higher and higher. But I love to, I think I'm going to get more involved with the South County Historical Society, because I like history, and I love the connection that, and the new newsletter with the new president. He's amazing. So he was a history teacher at the Mesa College, Arroyo Grande College, Mesa College, the high school, not the college, the high school, Arroyo Grande High School. Jim Gregory is his name. Yes, amazing writer, and shares history. I'm just so interested in that. So I'm going to read you this poem that Barbara sent me. It's just so she likes to write poetry, and this is in closing. I'll read this poem, and it's called Night and Day. So let's just take a deep, for me, I need to take a deep breath and relax and just be here now. May the love of God, born on the wings of angels, brush your cheek as you sleep. May your waking hour find you relaxed and refreshed. May your first greeting from the moment your eyes open radiate praise and gratitude for a new day, for another chance to co-create. I think that's so beautiful. And I have a collection of her poems and her poetry, and they're so moving. And anyway, I'm going back in time. I find my mind just suddenly went back to days and times with her. But you know, we talk about co-create, for another chance to co-create. And this is the pretty much the end of my talk, but it's not the end of the things I want to share, because there's a couple, and it's Rita and Larry Conrad. I want to acknowledge them today, and they have been co-creating their lives together for 35 years. This wedding anniversary, I believe it's today. Their wedding anniversary is today. And I am, I looked up on Google, good old Google, right? And it's the 35th wedding anniversary is a milestone in any couple's life, also known as the choral anniversary. And I never knew that. It is time to reflect on the strength of your relationship and to celebrate your enduring love for each other, your enduring love for each other. And I know that's true. Um, I have something for you, Rita. I know that it was last Christmas. I think you gave me a gift because we're Polish sisters, and it was a Christmas ball and it was Polish, written in Polish, and so. So I have a gift for you, and this is something that my girlfriend way back when we were in our early 40s, she was married to a kind of a jerk, and and they had a timeshare in Maui. And they were going to go there. And 2 days before they were to leave, he decided, I don't want to go. I don't want to go with you. They must have had a fight or something. But anyway, she invited me to go. And the plane fare, everything was paid for. And of course I said yes. I was teaching at the time, but I was able to make arrangements about that. But anyway, while I was in Maui, I went to Lahaina, and I was walking on a back street in Lahaina, and I found a piece of coral, and I want you and Larry to have that piece of coral because it's very special to me, and you and Larry are very special people, and I want you to have that. So I found it. Let's see, where is it? I have it in a box here. I found a little box for it too. So yeah, and it's this. And coral, it's illegal to take it away from Hawaii, I found out. But this was a long time ago. And this was before that law or whatever, that rule came in place. So anyway, this is your little gift, and it.
Mary Poppins, whenever you bring your bag.
There you go. I want you to see what that is, that you see that. Yeah, I love you too. You're just such special people. 35 years of marriage. Let's honor that. And the coral, yes.
Thank you so much.
Mwah. I love you. Oh, I'm in the way. Secret, okay. There's a little, the coral, and then the heart too represents the love that you two have for each other. God bless you both. All right, well, folks, that's the end of my talk today. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Wow. Whoa, that was fun. I enjoyed it.